Hey everyone, welcome into our latest TDR Cannabis in 5, presented by Dutchie. I am your host, Shad Dales, and today we're going into Texas because all eyes are on Austin this week. Lawmakers are moving fast on Senate Bill 6. It's a bill that could reshape the entire hemp market in the Lone Star State. So if you're in cannabis or in hemp or even just following policy, this is the one to watch. Let's break down what SB 6 really is, what's at stake, and what the industry needs to pay attention to as we head towards the special session deadline, which is this week. So with that, let's get into today's episode. First, let's put this into plain English. SB 6 would ban the manufacture, sale, or possession of nearly every hemp-derived product containing cannabinoids other than CBD or CBG. That means Delta 8, Delta 10, CBN, CBC, they're all gone. Even trace THC would trigger enforcement. And on top of that, SB 6 adds a heavy layer of compliance fees. They include a $10,000 license fee per manufacturing site. Also, a $20,000 annual registration fee per retail store. There's also a $500 registration fee for every single product SKU. And it also demands tamper-evident, child-resistant packaging, bans marketing that appeals to minors, and requires QR codes linking to lab results. And here's also the kicker. Violating these provisions isn't just a fine. Under SB 6, possession alone could be a Class B misdemeanor, and manufacturing or retail violations could escalate to a third-degree felony. So think about that. That's some serious time, and let's face it, some serious money. Now you might think all these fees means more money for the state, but according to the legislature's own fiscal note, SB 6 actually would reduce state and local revenues. Why, you might ask? Because banning the bulk of the hemp market eliminates taxable sales. The state projects losing over $23 million by 2027 and as much as $16 million annually by 2030. So this is not just a consumer or a retailer issue, it's a budget issue as well. So there's a lot of moving parts here on what the actual right approach is in all this. And here's where the politics gets really interesting. Back in June, Governor Greg Abbott, he vetoed SB 3, which was another hemp ban. He also said flat out, this is the kind of blanket prohibition would likely get struck down in court, quoting to Arkansas, where a similar law was tied up on federal preemption grounds. Instead, Abbott told lawmakers, regulate but don't ban it. He asked for age restrictions, potency caps, testing, child-proof packaging, in short, a strict regulatory framework that wouldn't collapse in court. And he may be onto something here, but the big question is, does SB 6 meet Abbott's standard? Or is the legislature setting up for another veto fight again? So now let's forward to this week. As of now, SB 6 already cleared the Senate State Affairs Committee on a 9-0 vote right after the session opened on August 15th. It's now eligible for a full Senate floor vote, which could happen any day this week. In the House, quorum was restored on August 18th after walkout earlier this month. That means the bill can finally get referred to committee, most likely public health, and potentially move to hearings. Remember, this is a special session. By law, it can only last 30 days from August 15th, which means the outside deadline is mid-September. But the politics suggest much sooner. So really, what should the hemp and cannabis industries be watching for this week? First, the Senate floor vote. Will they pass the bill as written, which is basically an outright ban? Or will we see amendments to line up with Abbott's call for regulation, things like potency caps and stricter enforcement against youth access? Second, the House version, HB 6. This companion bill is waiting in the wings. If House leadership shifts towards regulation instead of prohibition, that could be the compromise path. Then third, the governor's red lines. Abbott has already shown he won't sign a pure ban. If the final language doesn't change, he could veto SB 6 just like he vetoed SB 3. Fourth is the fiscal note. Lawmakers can't ignore that their own analysts say SB 6 reduces revenue. That will be part of the debate. And fifth, law enforcement. Police groups right now, they're divided. Some want to crack down on unregulated products, and others warn the courts and jails will overflow if low-level possession cases spike. So that split could push amendments on penalties and enforcements. So to be clear, if SB 6 clears both chambers without major changes and Abbott signs it, here's what happens. Most hemp products disappear from Texas shelves overnight, and that's a reality. Then you've got retailers who face a choice: shut down or pivot to CBD, CBG only, or risk operating underground. Then you got manufacturers and brands facing crushing compliance costs on whatever CBD, CBG SKUs remain. Also, there's consumers who will turn to online markets, black market sources, or cross-state shopping, and the state ends up up collecting less tax revenue than it does today. It's a scenario that destabilizes the entire ecosystem. So again, you can understand why this is not an easy approach right now. Different angles from different places. Let's also look at another pass. If lawmakers pivot towards regulation, we'd likely see the following: 21 plus age restrictions with tough penalties for selling to minors, potency limits per serving and per package. There also would be stricter testing and QR code COAs to verify what's in the product. Then there's child-resistant packaging and bans on candy lookalike products. These all make sense. As well, reasonable permit fees to fund enforcement without shutting out small operators. Again, these are all realistic approaches. That essentially is the model Abbott laid out after vetoing SB 3. And let's be honest, it's the model more likely to withstand a federal preemption challenge. So the bigger picture here, why does this matter beyond Texas? Well, let's face it, Texas is one of the largest hemp markets in the country. Whatever happens here will set a precedent. If SB 6 passes as a ban, expect a lawsuit immediately, with federal preemption front and center, without a doubt. Other states will be watching this closely, and if Texas opts for regulation instead, you could see a new national template for managing hemp-derived THC and minor cannabinoids. Either way, Texas is about to make history, for good or bad. All eyes on Texas this week. So for businesses on the ground, retailers should prepare for both outcomes. One playbook for a ban, which means winding down inventory or shifting sales online, and one playbook for regulation, which means compliance upgrades on labeling, testing, and age verification. Then you've also got manufacturers. They should be ready to absorb or contest the fee structure and shift product portfolios towards CBD and CBG if necessary. And then you've got advocacy groups who have a narrow window this week. House hearings are where testimony and data can actually shift the conversation from prohibition to regulation. So in conclusion, here's the bottom line. SB 6 is moving fast. The Senate could vote this week. The House is finally back in business, and Abbott has already shown he won't rubber stamp a ban. For the hemp industry, this week is very pivotal. The choices are stark: prohibition that guts the market, or regulation that protects consumers while keeping businesses alive. With all this, we'll keep tracking every development. In the meantime, that's your latest update on SB 6 in Texas, here on the TDR Cannabis in 5, presented by Dutchie. I'm your host, Shad Dales. Enjoy the rest of your day, stay connected, and I'll see you next time on our latest TDR Cannabis in 5. Thanks again, everyone, for watching.